Hello, my friends. As most of y'all might have been aware, I've been diagnosed with cancer. This is a video vlog of some of the things I've been going through lately. As you can see, I'm still in my hospital clothes, and that's because I'm still in the hospital. The reason behind this is my insurance has not approved my tube feeding, which I need to survive. And the hospital will not release me unless that's approved, because it's a liability for them. If I go home, I'm unable to eat anything appropriately or to maintain my weight, especially when I'm on chemo, which those who have not experienced chemo, it affects everyone differently. It made me very nauseous. It made it where everything tastes point blank like cardboard and horrible. And when you're nauseous and cardboard, it kind of makes you want to throw up everything. And throw up I did a few times. So they had me on anti-nausea medicine. So I have been in the hospital for, this is going on my fourth week, or the start of my fourth week. I probably should have been home last week on Tuesday, because everybody knows you heal better when you're home. Even the doctors here know that. And a lot of people might be surprised about how thin my face looks, because I've lost a lot of weight. My journey, which started in about April, when I started noticing something wrong with me, I was 307 pounds. Now, I did lose down to 264 through exercise and diet. But that's when I started having swallowing issues. And that's when the trouble started. Of course, my doctor did the appropriate thing, as it is also a symptom of acid reflux or GERD. He put me on a medication that should help heal the esophagus. Well, after 4 to 6 weeks on that medication, while I waited for an appointment with the GI doctor, which was supposed to be October the 27th or 29th. I cannot remember because October's over with. Didn't quite make it to that one. My first jaunt into the hospital began on October the 4th. And they saw that I was fully blocked. I was barely able to swallow water or any fluids. They did a scope, EGD. For those in the medical field, you know what that is. They took a biopsy, and that was not conclusive. It didn't get a good sample. They sent me home on that Wednesday, and I was able to drink a little bit. But what I noticed on that Thursday, that it started to close up again. And then Friday, I wasn't able to drink much of nothing. And then Saturday morning, I couldn't drink anything. I was over at my mom's trying to have a cup of tea, and that came right back up. So here we go back to the ER. And then I go through a CT scan. Now, this time when I go through the CT scan, they did a full chest and everything, and they did the kind of like a dye or something to actually do the markers. Those in the medical field could probably put in the appropriate term for it. I'm not in the medical field. I'm an IT person. So that found all kinds of masses, and that started my journey. Now, my next stage on that was a biopsy of my left kidney, where they found a clear cell melanoma or cancer. Okay, now they needed to redo the biopsy of the tumors in my esophagus. So I went under another EGD, and they got some good samples, and they were waiting for that. Well, those samples came back, and those were cancerous. But before those results came back, they went ahead and biopsied the liver, just to make sure, because the cancer in the kidney really wouldn't go over to the liver. It hadn't really spread that much. So I'm lucky on that part. Now, the form of esophageal cancer, I do believe there's 2 types out there, and I have the lesser of the 2 evils, which means that mine can be treated with chemotherapy. The doctors were, talking to me, making me make choices. One of them was a feeding tube into my stomach. And the reason behind this is because I have a blockage. And even if they put in a stem, I would not be able to maintain the appropriate nutrients to make it through chemo, even with the stent in there, because the stent, even though it does open up the blockage area, it has limitations of things you can eat. So we go on, and I go through another EEG because they want even more samples of that wonderful esophageal cancer so they can focus the treatment. And they put in I think they call it a G-tube or something like that. Medical people, go ahead and comment below on YouTube on exactly the appropriate term. Now, I get that in a stent, and I get that done in the afternoon process. In the morning process, I get a chemo port, or a port for basically accessing me without having to poke me a million times and take blood. I have a pamphlet here of it. And basically it's I'll try to get a picture here, a little booklet of exactly what's going on. So hope you can see that. It's just a little port underneath the skin that hooks into my blood system so that they can basically do everything from saline to chemo, medication, and everything. And they just poke it right through there, and it's always going to work. Should always have access. And that was put into my right arm. So that's interesting. It's still there, and right now it's currently hooked up to an IV for fluids, because right now I cannot maintain appropriate fluid levels. Well, they want to keep me full of fluids right now, because when I came in I was completely dehydrated. I think I was 212 pounds, lighter than I ever was in high school, which was 230. So I'm sitting at 225 now. My first bout of chemo really wasn't fun. At first it wasn't that bad. They had a lot of good anti-nausea medicine going into me. But at the end, when they took out the chemo, let me tell you what, next few days I was wiped. I've never been wiped out like that before, and people know me. I didn't get, gobs of sick leave for being a person that would just sit there and just fall asleep. I'm always constantly going. So, And that's another thing, another clue, feeling tired. So my notes on this first video, male, female, I don't care who you are. If you have a back pain in your lower back, you might want to get that checked out. That could be kidney cancer. If you have problems swallowing and you feel tired a lot and you start losing weight and you're not going to the gym and working out, you might have something going on there. You might want to get that checked out quickly. It's a little bit harder now because of COVID-19, especially with getting appointments with doctors for any kind of procedure. But now I'm in a struggle with my insurance company. I'm not going to go into real big detail of what's going on with them, but let's just say that right now I have the request for my formula for my tube feeding. I was denied the first one, which was to have an auto feeder, or what's called a feeding pump that would just hooked up, and I just connected on and wear a belt and change out the food whenever I need to. That was definitely turned down. Kind of figured that would be because insurance would have to pay for the pump. So what they are doing was called a bolus feed, which is more like a gravity feed. So it's basically, excuse me, but imagine this. You take 150 to 300 milliliters of fluid and you shotgun that directly into your stomach. You're younger, you can get away with that. I'm 51. And first off, my stomach has shrunk because of my malnutrition. So right now I can only stomach 150. It really needs to be 300. So you dump all that in there, maybe a few, 100 or two, or maybe not 100 or two, but maybe 50 to 100 water on top of that to clean your tube. And now your stomach's full. It's instantly full. It's just not like, oh, I'm drinking the Coke and slowly eating a burger, or eating too fast. And you know how you get full over a period of time. No, it's just like, wham, you're full. Very different sensation. But it's keeping me alive. Now, the problem with the insurance is they haven't approved it. Each time that I stay in the hospital, each night that I stay in each day is about $1,600 to $1,800 a day. This isn't a hotel room. You got some high-tech equipment in here. You have nurses, you have IVs, you got people checking on you. You don't really get a great night's sleep. You get sleep when you can, and that's why most people heal a lot better when they're at home, because they're getting a full night's sleep. Here you constantly have nurses coming in because it's their job to check your stats. Nothing against them. Nursing staff here has been glorious. I only have great things to say about the nursing staff and the medical staff here at UMC. But they're looking after my best own health. So I haven't been released or discharged from the hospital yet. Now, you could probably say, well, you can walk out. No. If I walk out without being properly discharged, I am responsible for the full bill, the full medical expense of the hospital. So I have to wait on the insurance to approve the formula. Very simple thing. And they probably spent about maybe a year's worth a formula just having me in the bed for the amount of times they've been uh, having problems getting it approved. Just put it that way. They probably could have even paid for the pump version because they're constantly paying for the room. And I can't be discharged because of liability, of course. But this is my cancer struggle. This is the beginning. And, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of glad I was diagnosed. Was I a little bit shocked? Yeah, I was a little bit shocked. But, what are you going to do? You're going to fight it. I'm all about fighting cancer. I've worked for charities with the 501st. I dress up as a stormtrooper. I dress up as a Jedi with the Rebel Legion. I help raise money for kids fighting cancer. And my whole thing is Frak Cancer. I'm going to say that. But anyway, this is the end, and I'll catch you next time.